Hello, warriors and supporters. Welcome to our very first episode of our international podcast. Tune in on the 25th of every month for a brand new episode. Our VP of International Relations, Ithar, interviews our international resources. This week we have Janet Ewens with us, a holistic healthcare consultant located in the UK. Without any further ado, here's episode 1.
Hello everybody and welcome to our first international podcast. Today it's a great pleasure for me to meet our holistic doctor, Janet. Hello.
Hi, pleased to be here.
Thank you for being here with us. And today we would like to start with you. If you can please tell us more about yourself and your background.
Sure. Thank you very much for inviting me to be on your first podcast. It's an absolute honour. So I'm based in the UK, the northeast of the UK. I don't know if you can tell by my accent. I don't personally think I have an accent, but everybody seems to think I do. And I'm not a medical doctor. My interest in my own health journey has taken me to where I feel I can support and help as many people as I can on a journey into supporting their own health. So my own background, I'm married, I have 2 children, 2 grown-up children. Where did that time go? I do not know. I'm now a granny as well. I have a one-year-old grandson. I know I don't look old enough, do I? I can say that on your face, but I am. And it's an absolute joy. For my own journey and my own work life, before I go on to personal life and what led me to where I am now, my background, believe it or not, at 18, I was going to do medicine, but love took me on a different path. So I ended up going to logistics, whether I've come full circle back into the healing world to what I should have done. But we make decisions at the time we make them. And so my whole background has been in logistics, warehousing, transport management. And I just love to say to people, you're never too old to change your career. Nobody should ever be stuck on a path they don't want to be on. Till I've been self-employed, so about 15 to 18 years ago, I decided stress was practically killing me and I needed to make a change. And so I quit the world of stressful logistics. Said at the time, I'd rather go and scrub floors than put up with all this stress. So I went and started my own cleaning business. Then that led me onto the path of green cleaning because working with chemicals all day just made me so ill. And then that led me on the path of holistic, learning more about holistic healthcare. And then I was introduced to the company that I partner with at the moment and to come and really research into natural remedies and pure plant medicine and this beautiful world of nature in the form of essential oils, which are the plant's immune system. And when we have the pure plant medicine, we have this amazing form of medicine that supports the body and doesn't hinder the body's own ability to heal and repair. So my own story on my own health, if somebody had told me 30 years ago that the reason I got daily headaches and daily indigestion were all stress related and all I had to do was learn how to manage my stress, I wouldn't have taken 30 years of unnecessary over-the-counter medication that then got stronger onto prescription and acids and proton pump inhibitors that led to chronic gut issues. Really forced me to stop in my tracks about 6 years ago. And even then, I had to go and research that myself because the common answer from doctors is antibiotics. Now, when you really come and research gut health, antibiotics is one of the worst things that you can be taking. So it just shows that when we do go to our medical practitioners, it is a game of detective work. They just then start to break everything down and they will treat the symptoms. So they'll start with treating the symptoms, but then quite often they go away with that prescription and that diagnosis and we never go back to the doctors and the doctors never follow up. And then we stay on that medication. We only ever go back when symptoms get worse. And then doctors just treat another symptom and add another medication on and another medication. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, because when we look at what that medication does for us as opposed to what natural medication does for us, it's a total, complete different world. and it's an amazing subject.
It is actually, and that's very impressive. How did you first learn about complex regional pain syndrome, which is known as CRPS?
Yeah, so I am part of a networking organisation, BNI, which is Business Networking International. And one of your lovely ladies, Deborah Jaworski, she reached out to me and asked if I was interested in coming and becoming involved. Because we're all part of the same network, and I'm interested in helping charities as well, because a lot of what I do can help raise funds to go into a charity. So that is how I first connected, and then obviously then I came and started researching the CRPS to then start and see how I can help members. And at the same time, you know, I'm quite willing, because I partner with an MLM company, to put all of the commissions into the charity, and so not only am I helping members, but then I can start and help raise funds for the charity at the same time.
Thank you, and I'm really happy that our wonderful CEO reached out to you, and thank you for being with us. So my third question is, if a patient with CRPS came to you, how would you treat them?
Yeah, so often it is looking at the whole picture. So I love to say that holistic healthcare is looking at the whole picture. It's not looking at one isolated incident. So if somebody comes to me with a headache, you know, yes, I can help with a natural analgesic, but what we're going to do is we're going to start and break it down as into what is causing the headache, what are the triggers. So plant medicine is going to help support the body while the body heals. So the body will always heal itself. And when we work with pure plant medicine, that helps. That has so many side benefits and not side effects. So when we start looking at synthetic medication that we're often prescribed, it is actually just a synthetic copy of naturally occurring chemical compounds. So why do we want to use a copy of anything when we have at hand now natural medicine, right? It's easy at our fingertips that we can have in the home to support our own health. You know, so what's really interesting as well is when we come and look at painkillers, and, you know, and I help people to come and understand this in easy to understand terms, right? Because I researched it, and as I say, I haven't got a medical degree. I haven't gone for 7 years to then say to somebody a whole load of medical jargon that people don't understand. You know, let's break it down into easy steps. And so when we look at an analgesic, you know, in your over-the-counter medication is a synthetic copy of that naturally occurring chemical compound. So take, for example, peppermint. Peppermint is pure menthol. And pure menthol, in nature, 65% of that plant may be menthol. The other 35% will be supporting natural chemicals. So that support the peppermint in nature to be so effective. Big Pharma can only isolate the menthol and then synthesize the rest of that medication, and it's the synthetic parts that give us the side effects. But we're so used to getting that list like that with medication of all the side effects that we have become accustomed to accepting side effects. Side effects are your body telling you that what you're taking isn't any good for you. And so when we start working with plant medicine, it works with the body while the body heals and repairs. When we start taking a synthetic painkiller, it just blocks the neural pathway of the brain while the body heals and repairs. Now, everybody feels pain on different levels, and everybody's body is different. So when it is hindered, when we use a synthetic painkiller, it can often hinder the body's ability to heal and repair. So therefore, when you look at it in that light, you can think, right, well, I'm taking more and more, and I think it's not effective. So the more tablets I'm taking, the more I'm hindering the body's healing ability, but I'm also adding toxins into the process as well. And so when we can say it like that, then you can go, so why am I taking all this medication? Why am I then taking stronger medication that gives me certain really bad side effects? You know, you can go from paracetamol right up to, say, tramadol, but then you've got all the side effects of tramadol. I speak to so many people that say they don't cope well on tramadol. You know, so why are we using it? Why are we insisting people take it? What makes you ill? You know, I'll take a tramadol, I end up in bed for 48 hours. from side effects, you know. So it's really interesting to come and investigate the naturally occurring chemical compound in that painkiller, but is taking that painkiller stopping the body from healing anyway. So when we're starting to take that holistic view, isn't it? It's really interesting, is it, just to look at it in a different way.
Yeah. So I'm really actually curious to know what would be your protocol and how would this be different from somebody that doesn't have CRPS?
Well, CRPS is when we come and research it. So I research every case, you know, every person that I deal with, I come and research what we're looking at, you know, because there is differences, you know. But when we start and break it down, inflammation is at the root cause of all disease. And when we don't treat the inflammation, we allow that to just get worse and worse into chronic illnesses. So when we can start and break it down, so even when we're looking at the likes of chronic pain on the likes of fibromyalgia, as opposed to complex regional pain, it's still pain in a certain part of the body. Something is stopping the body from healing. So when we can start and break it down, and let's just strip everything down to what is keeping the body in that cycle. You know, when we were looking at complex regional pain syndrome, we can look at the disturbance in the neural pathways. We can look at the brain. We can look at neuropathy. We can look at that nerve damage, you know, and just what is keeping the body trapped in that cycle. You know, because when we can start looking at the nervous system, we can start looking at the endocrine system, we start breaking everything down. You know, as opposed to if I was helping somebody with the likes of fibromyalgia, we would start with food, we would start with nutrition, you know, because everything affects our health. And we often don't think that our food and our diet is keeping us stuck in a cycle. Stress is keeping us stuck in a cycle. Our nervous system is keeping us stuck in a cycle. And so it's every person that I help is different, and everybody that we're looking at and what affects them. Yeah, and it's just really interesting. I think when we look at it with curiosity, we can start and strip it all down, break it on down, just see, you know, could be your diet. You know, there's so many factors that your doctor doesn't help you with because they haven't got the time. In today's medical care, have they? You know, you're in and out when you can get an appointment, you know, and you're in and out within like 5 minutes. And the doctor is only going to act on what you tell them. And often we haven't got the time. You're not telling them everything. You're stressed to be there. You know, so it's just, you know, we really need to start to question everything ourselves.
That's really interesting, talking about stress. What natural solutions do you believe are effective for healing and repairing the body in those with CRPS?
Oh, there's so much. There's so much. So if I would start and look at swapping out the medication for a natural alternative. So where I mentioned tramadol before, you know, we can look at wintergreen, we can look at helichrysum, we can look at anti-inflammatories, we can look at something as simple as looking at the body's omega balance when we're looking at the balance between omega-3 and omega-6. You know, there's so much in our diet. Again, you know, we can break everything down to nutrition on how the body heals and repairs. You know, so when we give the body the tools that it needs, it will start, you know, and step by step we can help. You know, so it's really interesting as well when we're looking at that chronic pain, is quite often where you feel pain isn't where the problem is. You know, it's such a huge subject, isn't it? You know, and starting to help people break everything down, you know, and a lot of it, you know, just take away some of the medication that's given side effects, because we can do without that. We can do without numbing down naturally body functions, you know, and just start looking at what can we give, you know, we'll treat the symptoms first, and then break it on down, see how we're coping with everything. You know, it's just, there's so much out there, you know, when we start looking at nature, it's phenomenal. But then we start looking at naturally occurring compounds and what it does in the body, and it's a lifetime of learning. You know, I think people tend to sort of like think, oh, I couldn't learn all of this. Yeah, we'll take it one step at a time, you know, and just looking at things that help, you know, because you would be different to the next person I would speak to. You know, it may well be that what is really getting you down about your pain may be more insomnia, it may be more stress. It may be more than just the pain before we actually even start bringing this all down, because we get caught in a cycle, right? We get caught in a cycle of pain that leads to depression, that leads to stress, that leads to, then we have this whole knock-on effect. So we start bringing everything back and start bringing everything down. It's just quite fascinating, step by step. Everybody can do this, and you just need to, I think everybody just needs that confidence to think, let's go and research this ourselves.
To be honest with you, I'm really enjoying this because I believe in it so much, and I believe that nature can help a lot. So I'm really enjoying that. Thank you. My next question is, how do you suggest individuals with CRPS find reliable information to take control of their healthcare, especially when considering natural alternatives to pharmaceutical treatments?
Aha. See, that is the $1 million question, isn't it? And unfortunately, at this moment in time, in history, there is, we can have this whole debate about the reasons why we don't have credible access to that information. Personally, I feel that there is a huge shift in the public wanting this information. And there are more and more people who are educating and who are helping people and who are moving away from mainstream medicine. So there's lots of people leaving the medical system because they can't talk about natural remedies, right? They are tied into, and of course, different countries all have different, each medical care in each country all have different rules and regulations. But I think there are a lot of practitioners who are moving away into their own research, moving with companies that are pioneers of the latest scientific research, the latest natural remedies, and when you can align with somebody like that, then you will get access to a whole new world of clean, pure products and, not what you buy in the shops, because the whole industry around supplements, essential oils, natural herbs, everything. There's no, what's the word I'm looking for? There's no regulation across the board. So quite frankly, anybody can sell anything. And quite often, most people do. So I think it dints people's belief in finding natural remedies, because a lot that's out there in the market isn't what it says it is. You can look at CBD that's on the market. So CBD, the market is flooded with CBD, but it's still not regulated, right? So anybody can sell anything. And as long as there is about 5% CBD in that bottle, it can actually be labelled as 100% pure and organic. But it's only 5%. What's in the other 95%? And people are going mad over gummy bears, and we start looking at everything thinking, why would you take a gummy bear that's full of sugar? Right? That's not going to help you when you're ill. But again, placebo effect, on what people think because they're being told this will do X, Y, and Z. But a lot of it does more damage than it does good. So it's finding the credible companies that you can work with who are making a difference worldwide in healthcare. And it's really interesting to see the companies that are developing.
Yeah. Okay, so our, as I said, holistic Dr. Janice. Okay. Opinion. How important is raising awareness about natural solutions for managing CRPS?
Well, I think firstly, people need to be aware of what CRPS is, because it's quite different, isn't it? And it's different for every person, and it's the same as most people who have an ailment. Everybody is different with it, and everybody's different how they show that. And so, most people keep a lot hidden. Most people can show it outright. And then I think it's raising awareness that a lot of people, we make assumptions of people, and instead of assuming that somebody looks drunk or assuming somebody's fallen over, why not just change the mindset around that person actually has an illness and why we're not giving people more compassion and how can we help and support, because when people are in chronic pain, it just eats away your life. I would hate to be in chronic pain, which is why I like to help as many people as I can, because it's debilitating, it robs you of your life, and the last thing you need is people not being aware of how you're feeling, because that adds to it as well, doesn't it? It makes you feel isolated, it makes you, because people don't understand. So I think not just raising awareness of it, but raising awareness of how people are feeling about it. Then we can start and raise awareness of how we can support people around it, and how we can help people around it. Because sometimes when some people have complex regional pain syndrome, I think a lot of people just relate that to the loss of a limb and phantom limbs, and people just don't understand it, and I think the more that we raise awareness around it, then people are more understanding and can support you better. Because a lot of how most people must be feeling is that loss of life, loss of energy, sleep, and even that is just a boost, isn't it? Just somebody to say to you, how are you feeling today? Can I help you with something? Can literally just make you feel so much better.
Yeah. And talking about awareness, talking about warriors who can talk about it and others who can't, and talking about other people who would love to help them, but they don't know how to promote awareness. What would you like, in your opinion, what steps can the individuals take to promote awareness in their communities?
Yeah. So I think awareness starts at home, certainly starts within the family, starts with children, can then start with raising awareness in the schools, in the colleges, because it's something that's not talked about. Not many people know what CRPS is. Most people will know what chronic pain is, know what fibromyalgia is, because it's raised and there is research about it. It is out there in the open, but for me personally, when we start looking at IBS, fibromyalgia, these that are commonly known are actually autoimmune diseases. We have labels for autoimmune disease, where autoimmune disease should be autoimmune disease, not asthma, not lupus, not fibromyalgia. Because what we're doing, if we look at it at a holistic view, is we are creating more labels for different symptoms of the same disease. But then we're throwing different medication at it as well, instead of bringing it right down, so down to an autoimmune disease. So when we can look again at, fibromyalgia, IBS, literally terms, I haven't got time to help you find what is irritating your bowel, what is triggering the reaction to the immune system, and I think when we can raise a different awareness around it, that all illness, affects that person. And so I think the more we talk about it, you raise awareness, and just how people feel, and that it is an actual syndrome, that people need help with.
Yeah. And I would love to just add one more question about psychological support. How important it is in this case.
Yeah, I think when we make people feel as though they are heard, and where we get locked in our nervous system, and around when we look at trauma, because obviously most people on complex regional pain syndrome, it's an injury, and an injury is a shock to the system. It is a traumatic event, and when we start looking at trauma, we get locked in the nervous system of trauma. And so there is lots out there that we can help people with around understanding the trauma and really delving into it. It's just a fascinating subject that we can start and break down to help, people look at the psychological aspect of it. And our essential oils as well work on the brain. They work on the emotions. So when we're using a pure essential oil, it works on the lymphic system of the brain that is responsible for sending all the signals throughout the body. And so we can look at, nobody should ever be on antidepressants. When we have natural therapies and natural oils that work the same way on the brain. So lots that we can do around the nervous system and understanding trauma, and it's just, I think there's such a huge subject, when we start researching, and it's just such an interesting subject that everybody should get curious. How can I find out this information? How can I start asking those questions? And again, how do I actually feel? And who can I speak to? Who can come and help me make some sense of it?
Okay, that was it for today. Thank you so much, our doctor. I'm very sure that our warriors will enjoy this with all this information. And of course, you can find our wonderful holistic doctor, Janet, on our website. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies, for a lovely and informative episode. You can find the links to get in touch with Janet in the description of this episode. You can also find Janet on our website under our International Resources tab. If you would like to support the foundation and the podcast, please text CWF Podcast to 53555. Stop back in on the 25th of July for the next episode of our International Podcast.